This scene is perfect, but in order to understand why, we have to go back. Merry Christmas, everyone! Turnabout Goodbyes is definitely the toughest trial Phoenix Wright ever has to go through, and maybe even for the player too. Not difficulty-wise, but it's the only time you lose. See, just before the scene I just showed, we lost. Miles Edgeworth was declared guilty. 2 or so hours go straight down the toilet. The only other time you lose really in this series is when you want to lose. Here, there is no precedent. It comes out of nowhere. But why does this scene work so well? First, we need to consider who we're facing. Manfred von Karma is the literal final boss of Ace Attorney. In terms of fear that he strikes within the player, he might be number 1. Sure, we go up against some more powerful people and under scarier circumstances in some other cases, but von Karma is objectively the best prosecutor. Even though he cheats and intimidates his way through it. He runs this trial, not you, not the judge, him. Next, we need to go into how this scene plays out. There's no music, nothing, just the sound of text moving across the screen. This goes on for about a minute, something we probably don't expect as players. Phoenix has pretty much given up, telling Maya that he doesn't even know what to do anymore. The judge straight up tells you how fucked you are before delivering a guilty verdict. The case was extremely clear after all. All of this negative emotion is flooding the player at this moment, and then the judge hits his gavel. But then there's an interruption. Cornered begins to play, and your good friend Larry Butts appears, stating that he also heard the events of that night, and that what he heard is different from what the witnesses said. This turns the emotions that the player was just feeling into elation, as they realize the guilty verdict was a fake out. Cornered is the perfect choice to play here. When we get into the courtroom lobby, we learn from Edgeworth that we really have a chance in this one. This is the first time something so unexpected has happened during a Von Karma trial. He usually runs perfect trials, but this time he only had 15 minutes to prep his witness, and if we know anything about Larry, the prep probably wouldn't have helped anyway. The player realizes that they aren't quite out of the woods yet, as Larry's testimony is pretty vague. But something is different here. Von Karma doesn't instantly object to everything we do. This might go unnoticed by the player, but it gives us a bit of an insight into how he runs his trials. He planned for everything Phoenix was going to press on the earlier witnesses, and how he was going to respond to those presses. But here, he had no time to prep. I don't even think he did prep Larry at all. Despite the vague testimony, there is a clear inconsistency. He says he heard a single gunshot, while Lotta Hart and the boat shop owner heard 2. When Nick points this out, Larry says that he actually isn't sure because he was listening to music through his headphones. And the player is thinking it was back to all for naught, as Larry just called his own testimony into question. A fact that Von Karma is very eager to point out. In Larry's next testimony, we get the now legendary once-a-year meme. He says that he remembers exactly what the DJ was saying when he heard the gunshot. Hey, it's almost Christmas. This contradicts all the facts of the case. Everyone else heard 2 gunshots after midnight, and what Larry said means that when he heard the gunshot, it was still Christmas Eve. This clears up a question that Phoenix and everybody else had earlier. Despite everyone hearing 2 gunshots, the gun was fired 3 times. No one knew where that shot came from until this testimony, and when Von Karma asks us to prove that Larry isn't lying, we use this fact. Finally, the pressure is off of the player. After over 2 hours of this, the player can breathe a bit. In this testimony, this scene is what leads to our eventual victory. Alright, so in conclusion, we'll sum up why this scene is great. First, it uses tension better than basically any other scene in this game. This is the first time we really feel like we lost, and the feeling lasts for quite a while. It then uses both music and a lack thereof to influence the emotions of the player further. This is something that Ace Attorney is good at in general, and this scene is no exception. And finally, it has the perfect meme magic to make it memorable. Thanks for watching.